What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Roscoe, and a little bit of a pivot tonight, but we're still covering a very fun card as we are covering the Penn Mile card for Friday, June 27th. 4 stakes, 5 turf races, fantastic fields all around. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you guys all so much for joining the show. I greatly appreciate it. If you do enjoy the show, please go down below the video player, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate, because one, not only is it the best way to support the podcast and is completely free to do, it pushes these videos out into the YouTube algorithm to hopefully bring like-minded horse players to the HHH Racing Podcast. And of course, for that, we thank you. We have live chat going on all night in the bottom right-hand side of the screen on both X and YouTube. If you guys want to comment something in the live chat, as thank you so much to Penn National. These PPs have been out for a long while now. So if you guys have some opinions on some great Friday night racing, please put them in the live chat. As you can see scrolling in the bottom of the screen right now is our normal podcast schedule for the week. Intermittent Mondays, we have Horsin Around, is usually used as a reaction or a recap show. Tuesdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern with Pacific Horseplayers. Here Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Bettin N Boozin, just like every single Wednesday night, and every single Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern runs Picks and Ponies with Howard, Pete, and Paul. So hit that subscribe button, because you don't want to miss any podcast as we go into the summer racing with Haskell, and once Saratoga starts up, Del Mar. You're not going to want to miss a single podcast if you're going to be gambling throughout the summer here on horses. And let's be honest, of course, we all will be. As you can see on the bottom of the screen right now, we also post every single podcast here to YouTube in audio form as well. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor for those. If you're more of an audio listener, please go rate, review, and subscribe over there. New socials, guys, and they're not really new. I should just put socials at this point, but we have TikTok and Instagram, more short form content posted over there with like picks that I anytime I play during the weekend, I will post and who exactly I'm playing and keying my day around. If that's something that interests you, at Bettin N Boozin Podcast on both TikTok and Instagram. So go follow us over there. And the big thing that's new, guys, is that the Saratoga and Del Mar Power Picks are now available. And just as always, it is done through our website, HHH Racing Podcast. And you can see, as I bring up on the screen right now, this is what happens when you go to our beautiful website, hhhracingpodcast.com, and you can see right here Power Picks tip sheet. Click the down arrow and you can see Saratoga and Del Mar Power Picks. If you scroll, this has all the information that you need. You have the price, what's exactly included, full ABC grids, top 3 picks, price, spot plays, and it's the same for both Saratoga and Del Mar, just of course different tracks, and it's all done through either PayPal or Venmo directly to Howard, and you will get them emailed to you every single weekend race day. And as you can see, deadlines I have at the bottom of the screen there for Saratoga. It's before the second weekend of the meet for Saratoga. That's 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, July 17th, and for Del Mar, it's 11:59 p.m. on July 24th. So you can there's also a deal if you get them both together. Again, just take a look at the website for all your information. We have a long way to go until that deadline hits, but you don't want to forget. And then all of a sudden oh my God, I forgot about the Power Picks. Please get them as soon as you can if you are interested. Of course, our normal Power Picks are all done through Patreon, patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. Only $4.99 a weekend for those, $21.60 billed monthly through Patreon. And that has 2 full tracks every single Saturday. Same thing, price plays, spot plays, ABC grids, everything you need to be successful on any given Saturday. We here at the HHH Racing Podcast have you covered with the Power Picks. Again, Patreon does that, patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. The link is also in the description. Guys, we're going to cover 5 races for you guys tonight. And just to keep it, there is an all-turf, all-stakes pick 4, starting race number 3. But just to keep it as our normal 5-race set, we are covering race 2 as well. And for those that don't know, at Penn National, they run all their turf races in the beginning of the card because they don't actually have lights for their turf course as they do for their dirt course. So they want to get in all of the turf races in early, of course, before it gets dark. And let's hope, fingers crossed, that they actually run it this weekend. So I'm going to bring on my co-host right now, and we'll get right into the handicapping as well as getting into the live chat. Guys, from the East Coast of New Jersey, mainstay, always my co-host on this show, Patrick Kunsel, and filling in for the man that is always too busy to be here. It always seems like he's doing something, but of course, Noah Maher is always here to join us. Gentlemen, what's going on?
What a good sub this guy is. Just always shows up on relief. What a great reliever he is.
Oh yeah. Coming in the clutch, that's for sure.
Always here, and he's always ready to go because just like the rest of us, we are all degenerates at heart. Noah, thanks again for filling in. Greatly appreciate it. But guys, like I said, we're going to cover races 2 through 6 as well as best bets, just like we do every single week on this show. And let's not waste any more time as we crack open a can of the nectar of the gods, as always.
Noah like this.
Oh yeah. Divino. How about that? But cheers to everyone out there. Hopefully, if you got a beverage in your hand, that you're making a good night out of it. Guys, like I said, the first race we're going to cover is race number 2. And as I bring up the Equibase on race number 2, and again, thank you to Penn National for having these PPs out so early. We have all the morning lines, numbers in the program, and everything like that. But of course, Katie was here bright and early. James, my friend, got to the gate today. James, thanks so much for joining the show. Love seeing your name in chat. Greatly appreciate it. Chris Walsh, my friend, thanks so much for joining the show. What's up? What do you mean, what's up with the hat? You know what's up with the hat. The White Sox win. We got a rep. Doesn't matter if they only win 1 out of the 3. A win is a win for the White Sox. That does not
26, right, Kyle? Don't they have 26 wins?
What 26? What? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's not too bad.
Not too bad. Yeah, considering what they have like 6 more than they did last year. So fantastic, man. We're only 26 and like 55 or something like that. But anyway, play that song. Shout out Southside Behavior on Twitter. Matt Miller, of course, was here as always early. And anyone that's again in the chat or that's watching live, please comment in the live chat if you have anything to say. We would love to read it. But yeah, someone said, did someone say Del Mar Friday nights? There's going to be a lot of Del Mar Friday nights, especially with that man below me this summer. I can tell you that much for free, guys. Race 2 is an allowance optional claiming 40,000. You go in the flat 5, and as everyone knows, it's against my religion to ever play these races, or so I say, which might or might not do. But either way, 11 horses in this full field. And the morning line favorite is the number 2, the Maryland bred Gift of Gab. Carol Cedeno rides 5-2 on the morning line. The number 11, Organized Chaos, Pennsylvania bred Tyler Connor at 4-1. Third choice, the number 4, Shoshana. That's always so hard. That tripped me up last time we covered that horse. Shoshana, at 6-1 on the morning line. Again, allowance optional. You can see horses are in for the claim, and some horses are not. Bringing up our picks on the screen right now. You can see we're all actually going with different horses, as these flat 5 turf sprints generally bring to the table. I'm going with the number 11, Organized Chaos. Patrick's going with the number 6, Gastown Babe, 10-1 on the morning line. And Noah is going with the morning line favorite, the number 2, Gift of Gab. Coming off some pretty quick rest. However, she's done it before and done it well.
Yeah, I guess that's the main red flag if you look at her. I just think she's a horse to beat. You know, she's got some pretty good races under her belt, especially as of recent. I mean, if you go back, she was in the very one at Pimlico just over a month ago, and she was only 3/4 of a length behind Basarati and Accomplished Girl. I mean, those mares would be, odds on in here. And then follow that up with a win. I'm not really too worried about the quick comeback, just because she's kind of done it something similar in the past, and she's done it all right. And it was going from 6 to 5. Obviously she's really never gone 6 before. And, she kind of proved last time that she doesn't want to go that far. So cutting back to 5, I think it's going to help her out. And I don't know about you, Pat. I mean, I like the 6 as well, and I'm curious to see what you hear, but just generally, I don't play a lot of Penn National. So it was easy for me to kind of gravitate towards those horses that have done well here.
Yeah, and what I'll say, Noah, is that race on June 13th, where I think 3 of the horses are coming out of. The 11 I know is for a fact the 4, and there's one more Rewatching that race, it just doesn't do much for me. I know Mystic Seaport won that race. She's a good horse for Jamie Ness. That was, pretty quick pace and ended up winning, coming on the inside. But I don't know. I just didn't want anybody out of there. So Gastown Babe, listen, her last race, and this is going back into October, obviously was not good at all. And she's run some races, that just were not impressive visually, but the figures fit. And she's been put in spots where that's better than this field. And, I'm going to hope that the layoff did some good for this, 6-year-old. Kyle, I'm hoping she's coming into this race in good form because if not, she could be tailing off. But I'm gonna take a shot with a price in here.
No, Noah is as well, and Noah has her in second. Obviously, you guys feel the same way. I don't have this horse anywhere just for the sole fact. I mean, I would never put this horse to win personally. This is one just hasn't won since 22. Obviously, going to have to take a little bit to win. However, I think she's more than live in the money. Double-digit morning line odds as well, Noah, that you're getting on here on Gastown Babe.
Yeah, no, and I kind of echo everything that Pat was saying. I know she's a little tough to trust on the win end, like you said. I mean, she hasn't won all the way back on the bottom of the page and going back to October of 22, but just some of the races, not even just watching them, just based off of the format you see in front of you. I mean, two back, that 80 Beyer's definitely going to compete in here. I know it was a while ago, but 80 Beyer, 107 time form. I think, that's going to perk some interest to a lot of bettors. I'll be interested to see if she is 10-1 and, the 11, the one that you've got, Kyle, is a speedy type. I just think things will set up well for her if someone decides to go with the horse that you like.
Yeah, and the thing is though, is that on the and Timeform actually has the 11 out in the lead by herself. I don't know if we're gonna get that. However, last time out, I kind of pushed back a little bit. I thought the 11 Organized Chaos in the soft ran huge last time, and when they went 22 flat and 45-1 for this level on soft turf. Granted, she ended up getting caught by Mystic Seaport. However, really, Shoshana backed out of it way before Organized Chaos. Organized Chaos just got beat by a neck that day, and you could see Timeform does reward her for it. Excuse me, as you can go scroll to the bottom of the page, and she got a 110 last time. That was second off the layoff. This is now third off the layoff. I know she's 5. However, if that 110 bodes anything, she should show that she's really fast, and this might just be the time that Organized Chaos is getting really good. And if there's one jockey I love running at these types of smaller tracks, smaller circuits, it is Tyler Connor. Very easy to trust for me coming down to Penn National. You see he's winning 15% out of 168 starts. So I'm going to run with Organized Chaos and here hopefully go to lead and never look back. Also been facing a lot of open company, a lot of allowance and optional claiming, and even restricted stakes where she's run very well. So I'm going to ride the 11 Organized Chaos. The only other horse that I had in there, and you guys can feel free to push back, was Shoshana coming out of that last race. This is one that, maybe I kind of overlooked the 6 a little bit. I probably would put the 6 depending on price, although she's run very well at Penn National, not only last time, but if you go farther back in her page, she's actually won both of the other races she's ran at Penn National. But I understand, re-looking at it now, I understand why you guys are a little bit dubious. Plus, you're probably getting double the price on the 6. Would you guys kind of agree with that?
Yeah.
What do you think, Pat?
No, I definitely would agree with that, Kyle. And, I know we do look at that last race a little differently considering you like the 11. To be more fair, I would say, Shoshana is one that I kind of was hitting on that I'm just not a fan of. And I'm not going to take that price in this spot in here. But I do think if your 11 breaks and gets to the lead, that could it could be game over pretty much.
Yeah, and obviously that's what I'm banking on. But as I said before, you all know, if you've watched this show before, how I feel about turf sprints. So we might keep our distance with this one. However, it's a fantastic betting race to open up this 5-race sequence we're covering today. I'm going 11-2-4. Pat's going 6-11-2. Noah's going 2-6-11. Now, guys, starts the stakes races we're going to talk about tonight, as this is a state bred 60 Lifeguard Stakes, I believe is how you say it. Mile and a 16th on the turf. 3-year-old and up for fillies and mares. Full field of 12 Pennsylvania breds in this one. As I mentioned, it was state bred. morning line favorite is a pretty lukewarm one. However, it's Princess Javancia Flavian, the 8-year-old coming back, second time off the layoff. Flavian Pratt, Elizabeth Merriman at 4-1. Second choice and third choice, I guess, are shared between two horses. The number 1, Getaway Palace, and the number 3, Nature's Candy, both at 6-1. As I'm putting up on the screen, we're also still going with 3 different horses. I'm going with the 11 yet again. Pat's going with the number 10. Oh God, Pat, why do you do this to me every single week? I swear to God. Shellbell? Oh God, I'm gonna get yelled at for that one.
Let's just all watch the replay at the same time, and we'll all be able to pronounce it together.
Fantastic. And then Noah's going with the number 8, a horse I like as well, Lady Out of the Blue at 8-1 morning line. Pat, gonna start with you first, going with the number 10, as I mentioned, a horse that neither Noah or I have anywhere. So very interested to hear what you like about this one. And obviously you like a replay that we want to watch.
Yeah, right. No, I was kind of just saying that just because of the name pronunciation, but that's fine. Listen, Kyle, I think, her last race, watching that, the way she, drew away from that field and kind of went wide in the turn, I thought it was kind of impressive. And I looked at the last 3, and she's been in the money in the last 5. And I just thought, for the competition that she faced, maybe there wasn't as quality, but she did it impressively, in my opinion. Has been working really well at Parks. Obviously is going to have to, figure out that go in the routing distance in here, and if she's going to like the turf, which she does have some stuff on the dam side that would suggest she won't hate it. But listen, I don't know. I'm going to take another price in here in a race that's wide open, and you look at the time form, that would suggest so as well.
Yeah, I mean, you get Carmouche back aboard, who's shipping out for this race. Obviously, something you always want to see. You mentioned the time form. They have the 6 in front. However, the 10 is going to sit somewhere mid-pack along with my 11, and Noah's 8 is just behind that. So hopefully should be able to, especially with the 1, they have Getaway Palace in the back or just behind. However, she's one that's always been either at the front or just off the front. So looks to be a little bit more pace than time form suggests. However, the time form does have 4 horses within a length of each other going into the first turn. Noah, I'm glad that you have this horse in there as well. The number 8, Lady Out of the Blue. Michael Matz bringing 2 in this race off of a layoff. This is one of them, and this is definitely the one I would prefer out of the 2.
Yeah, and Michael Matz, I actually think he's got 3. I think he's got the 2, 5, and 8, if I remember that correctly. But I'm actually a pretty big fan of the 8, Lady Out of the Blue. And kind of what I was referring to earlier, just horses that, love to run well at Penn National. She was coming from way out of it in this race last year. Just lost to Stern Chaser. But just looking at her Penn National form after that, she was way out of it and almost got the job done too. Just after that in July. And then even over the yielding surface, she was able to get it done here at Penn National. Now, even after that, some of her races outside of Penn National have been good. I mean, even though she only got a 76 and a 98 time form last time, I mean, she's not going to beat Ghostly Gal and Dana's Beauty. I mean, Dana's Beauty's a multiple stakes winner, and Ghostly Gal is a really nice turf routing mare for Wayne Catalano, if I'm correct about that. So I think it's just a question of whether she's going to be ready off the layoff, but I'm willing to find out because Cruz and Matz, I believe, are 5 for 11 in that combo the last 5 years, if I remember that correctly. But I'm going to take a shot with her. Hopefully I get somewhere around that 8-1.
And I would love 8-1 as well, even though I'm going with the 11 on top. I think the 8, if she's ready off the layoff, and this is one of those that, off the layoff at 6 years old, you wonder how she's going to fire back. However, working well at Fair Hill. So definitely one that I prefer, or definitely the Michael Matz I would prefer out of the 3, and definitely of the 2 coming off of the long layoff. As you mentioned, Noah, 7 for 7 at Penn National. And with that run in the restricted Phillies race she came out of last time she ran at Penn National over a yielding surface, that race was by far her best. Looking to build off of that one at a nice price of 8-1. I went Princess Javancia, and I don't think this horse is going to be 4-1. This is not my favorite pick in the world. I definitely have stronger opinions coming up than in these first 2 races, but Pratt hops aboard this one, which obviously is a good sign. This is going to be second off the layoff. I know she's 8 years old, and I will not touch her with a 10-foot pole. She's anything below 7-2, but if Flavien Prat hops aboard, this horse is going to take money. We had all the fun we had 2 Saratogas ago when Flavien Prat won everything at something like 4-1, 5-1, 6-1. Now we don't get that luxury anymore for in my opinion, the best rider in the country right now, and I don't feel like that's a very hot take either nowadays, but has run so well up in the East Coast here between Laurel, Delaware, and Penn National. Always gives her run, and if she shows up here second off the layoff, should be a little bit more fresh than other horses coming in off of that layoff. And again, I understand she's 8, but if she's any kind of decent price, this is the one I would be able to trust the most. However, I think there's definitely value to be found in a race like this, whether it's on top or in the exactas with horses underneath of Princess Javancia. All of us have the number 1 Getaway Palace in here, Pat. This is a horse that's also run very well up in the East Coast and has run well at Penn National. Funny enough, she crossed the wire first in her first run at Penn National, unfortunately got DQ'd, but then came back and still ran very well. This is one that if the pace does not heat up, this is the one I want on the front end.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you could put a scratch through that last race. That was just no bueno. And has been betting pretty much every race she's running. She's Kyle. If she gets brave on the lead, she's exactly what you want, especially being on the rail. Yeah.
I mean, and she, out of all of them, I mean, she's going to be the one to force to go, even though she wants to be on the front end. Noah, this is the one that, I mean, even two back, she showed a little bit of a different side to her, which could arguably be a very, very good thing to see. The last time out, I believe her claim was voided by the vet, if I'm remembering correctly. Now coming back into this race, took a lot of time off. Now coming back, voided by vet, claimed for $20,000. So obviously something went a little bit wrong in that race. Now coming back here, you could argue that's a little bit of a negative in this race. However, you might be able to get the price to find out on her.
Yeah, and you would want them to take their time rather than just
right.
coming back right away, because if something serious happened to her, not just like she bled or something, then you'd want to take the respectful thing and take the time off. But that was kind of the reason I liked her, was maybe she has some versatility, because the 6, who's the projected front runner, is actually cross entered, and if the 6 doesn't go, it just kind of seems like the 1 is like 3 of 4 horses who might want to take the lead. So it seems like Haddock's gonna just kind of save ground, and if someone else is adamant on going and the 6 isn't in the race, it seems like maybe he can take back into second.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I have her in third. So does Pat, and you have her in second. So we all think she's live in some regard. Of course, the boss man has to point out, how can no one choose the 9? Who's the trainer of the 9? Mr. Bruce Kravitz. Of course, no relation, as Howard says every time, but got to point it out every time we cover this Upper East Coast racing between Penn, Laurel, Parks. Anytime Bruce Kravitz always shows up. So got to throw out to a little bit of a nod to the boss, even though there's no real relation there. In race number 3, I'm going 11-8-1. Pat's going 10-11-1. Noah's going 8-1-11. Guys, moving to the Alphabet Soup handicap, 75,000, another mile and a 16th for Pennsylvania breds. However, this is the male version of the third race. And as I bring up our picks on the screen right now, Noah, that is what I'm talking about. Both going with the number 4, Fierce and Strong. Patrick, you're going with the morning line favorite for Irad and Brittany Russell, F35 at 5-2 on the morning line. Could even be below that. Noah and I are both going Fierce and Strong. Number 4, the second choice for Tyler Connor, and I believe it's Mike Salvaggio, 4-1 on the morning line, or Salvaggio. Third choice, the number 5, Bartlett, Frankie Pennington, John Service at 6-1. Guys, gonna move on. I guess Pat, I'll go to you first. You have the morning line favorite, and you are the different one out of us 3. Number 9, again, not creative, what a lot of people would say. However, F35s ran some very, very good races, and now Brittany Russell has now trusted him enough to take a little bit of a jump up into stakes company.
Yeah, it has been running, ultra consistent. Sitting in, those time form numbers, especially the last 2, have been pretty solid. Ended up losing by a neck 2 back, which was a really good race. Pretty quality field in there. I thought the way they dueled in the stretch, ended up losing by a neck. That was pretty nice. And then last out, one going away. Kyle, I think in here, honestly, this horse is going to get the setup. I'm hoping there's a really fast pace and there's just a meltdown in here. And I understand why you guys have the 4. I do, find some interest in Fierce and Strong, but F35 has just kind of shown it to me, time and time again. And I'm not going to try and, beat a closer in a race where I see a fast pace.
And time form does as well, backs up that statement, of course, from Patrick. I mean, I couldn't agree. I agree completely. And Noah, I'm sure you do too on everything F35 has done. F35 is kind of the same reason why I like Fierce and Strong. However, I feel like we're going to get a much better price on Fierce and Strong because this horse has been running against Open Company both times. Anytime this horse has run against State Bred Company, he's only run very well. And now 87 now looks to take another step forward. Again, for very good connections in Brittany Russell and, of course, Irad picking up this mount.
Oh, he's clearly the horse to be. It's just, we try to find value in this game. And, when you see Irad and Brittany Russell, I feel like people that, don't play Penn National a lot, like, ourselves, they're just going to gravitate towards those connections. And, maybe he's not warranted at the price that he gets bet down to. I should probably mention, go ahead and throw the time form back up again, because this is another race where the 3 and the 5 are both cross-entered. So even if one of those don't go, the complexion of this race is going to be completely different. So
correct.
Good on you for us to try to find some strong opinions and some picks, because if either the 3 or the 5, and even if they both scratch out, I mean, this is going to be a completely different race. So that's kind of why I gravitated towards the 4, just because it seems like whether they're in or not kind of doesn't affect him a ton, because he's shown some versatility. And, Kyle, this is probably why you like him a lot. Last time, if you probably asked the connections if they had any chance to win last time, they probably would have said no, just because they were off of a layoff since November, and they were running at 5 furlongs when this horse had been running at 8.5 and 9 panels before that, yet he still got the job done. So I'm just kind of hoping that at 5 years old, maybe he just kind of found his top form, and obviously he's got his top form right here at Penn National.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you. Hit on everything I wanted to say. Fact that he ran his buyer top first off the layoff, this time at 5 years old. Now second off the layoff, could take a huge step forward here. Tyler Connor back in the irons. Of course, I mentioned my affinity for Tyler Connor earlier in these types of circuits. Every time Tyler Connor has ridden this horse, which is twice, he's won by 6 total lengths, 5 and 1 respectively. So I'm going to be willing to take a shot, and I agree with you completely. No, I don't know if they were trying to just find a spot for him to get him ready for, this day on Penn Mile Night, but man, he really ended up running very well in that race. And if he takes another step forward, he's going to give F35 a run for his money. No pun intended, of course, being 7 for 7 in the top 2 at Penn National. So one of my strongest opinions, no pun intended, funny enough, with the number 4, Fierce and Strong. We'll go through our horses we all have in third somewhere, because we actually are blazing through this card without even trying to do it. But Pat, you have the number 5 Bartlett in third. This is another horse that's cross-enter that Noah mentioned. Of course, would change the complexion of the race if this horse scratched out. But if the pace does not end up heating up, this could be one that could just take them all the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what my thinking is here too. I rewatched the Hill Prince back in November. And they were flying there. And you look at, a couple of those horses that came out of there and what they've done now, a couple grade 1 winners in there, or I should say 1 at least. I don't know, last out, I'm going to just put a line through that. Obviously should get back on the turf, ran best buyer, best form on the turf. So why not try again here? But if all horses are in this race, it's going to be tough, because there should be a pace.
Pat always loves to stuff me in a locker, whether he means to do it or not. Of course, bringing up Deterministic, who beat Integration last time, who I really, really needed that day. Just likes to stab me a little bit in the side. Of course, I'm messing around with Pat, but Bartlett's that one of those horses that, again, if he does not end up scratching and going to that other cross entry, could easily be one to upset on the top end. Noah, you're going with number 6, Take the Pledge. Another horse that's coming from dirt to turf on this one. Again, just has run some good numbers, might just have to improve to get in the money. However, if the pace does heat up, this could be one flying late.
Hey, speaking of stuffed in the locker, you liked Bava last weekend, didn't you?
Wow. Wow. Put that right on a tee.
I had to say it. Had to.
Yeah, Kyle, just chug.
Yeah, I will. I will keep beer looks so nice.
Okay, I'll talk about the 6 while Kyle recoups. With the 6, this horse has no chance if the 3 and the 5 are not in the race. But if those two duke it out early, I think he could be running late. And he's only been on the turf one time, and the turf effort was fine. But if you look at the breeding, Vino Rosso turf routes, not too bad. I think it's about 17 or 18%. And then he's actually a son of a elusive city mare, Judy in Disguise, who's British bred. And there is some turf breeding on the bottom side. So I think he's going to take to the turf well. It's just whether a matter of if he gets pace to run into.
Yeah, I agree with you. You're a sack of shit for that. But either, of course, we're talking about before. I have the number 12 Retweet in third. This is one that's just ran very well on the turf and including at Penn National both times. One of them in a restricted stake, lost by 3/4 of a length to Crisper, who's a really nice turf router up in the upper East Coast. You can see a bunch of middle 80s in here, and of course that would be much than good enough to win a race like this. It's just a matter of can he put it together and drawing the outside post. However, second off the layoff at 5 last time on the dirt. First put a line through it. He can probably run better, I believe. And I actually, excuse me everyone, I did not put you guys all know I handicap without morning line odds, didn't put them back up there. However, Retweet is 12-1 on the morning line. If he gets back to this low 80s stuff, you can easily run in the money, if not even vie for the win end at a nice price of 12-1. Of course, he just has to deal with that outside post. In the alphabet soup handicap, I'm going 4, 9, 12. Pat's going 9, 4, 5. Noah's going 4, 9, 6. Now we start getting into the really good stuff, guys. The next race number 5, is the Penn Oaks, 150,000 a mile on the turf for fillies of 3 years old. And this is actually a very, very good race. As I put up the Equibase right now, you can see morning line favorite is the number 9, Laura Lynn, the Irish bred for Kendrick Carmouche and Graham Motion at 3-1. Second choice, number 3, Love You Anyway. Axel Concepcion ships in Rusty Arnold at 7-2. Third choice being the number 7, Candy Quest. Castellano and Mark Cassie at 5-1 as I bring up our picks right now. We are going with 3 different horses yet again. Pat's going with the number 5, Bessie Abbott, a horse that I'm actually pretty interested in as well. I have her in second, and Noah is going with the morning line favorite, the number 9, Laura Lynn. Noah, you can feel free to tell us why we're wrong. She is extremely talented, though, and looks to get back on a winning train here if I can pull up her PPs. Last time out at Aqueduct looked very good. Now second off the long layoff.
Yeah, and if we weren't going to be talking about Zulu Kingdom here in about 10, 12 minutes, I mean, I would probably say that she's the most likely winner of the races that we're talking about. I mean, I know the 2 in the turf sprint's pretty likely, but I like her chances a lot in here. She's really good, obviously undefeated. She was off of about a 4 or 5 month layoff when she won the Memories of Silver last time, and she kind of made a sneaky middle move. She was kind of towards the rear of the field. Kendrick moved her kind of up and to the inside, and then kind of made an aggressive move early. Hit the lead at the top of the stretch, but I think she might be a little better maybe with a target. I guess the one conservative, maybe she could get hung out a little bit wide. But she is only post 9, and they are going a mile. So hopefully Kendrick's able to save some ground, and hopefully I get somewhere close to that 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the betting board shakes out here. Again, second off the layoff here for Laura Lynn. I think she's very talented. It's just a matter of what type of trip can she set up from that outside post. Not the quickest run to the first turn at Penn National. However, it's definitely not the longest. You can see Timeform actually has this favoring front runners in favor of the number 5, Bessie Abbott, who really hasn't been on the lead at all, except that last time where absolutely did. Granted, it was on the dirt, but no, I mean, nitrogen does nitrogen things nowadays, so no one's catching her. But
What was
Pat,
that, a 3-horse field?
3 or 4? Yeah, 3-horse field is right.
Yeah.
Hey, checking out, it's top 66%, Pat. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. No, listen, the reason why I have Bessie Abbott in here, it has nothing to do with the Wonder again. If anything, I mean, maybe we could say I'm happy that she was in the Wonder again, assuming it would have been on turf. I thought that allowance race at Keeneland, she ran fantastic considering the start she got. She did have to deal with some trouble along the way. Listen, Al Jafar was the best in there. There was a weird situation, and it's going to come up after they make the turn. I think it was it was right before the. There it is, right there. Yeah, it was a wave, and Bessie Abbott didn't get affected by it, but was right there when that happened. And she stayed on with it. Didn't obviously, like I said, didn't strike any didn't stand a chance with Al Jafar. But I do want to try her again in here, and I think if she gets forward position, she could be courageous, and she will outrun her 8-1 odds. But I do agree with Noah. I think the 9 is obviously the class. But listen, if I could get 8-1 on Bessie Abbott, I'm going to take it. And I'm ecstatic. Irad hops aboard in here. That gives me a lot of confidence.
I mean, and the thing is, Pat, I thought she ran you guys know if we've covered Al Jafar now twice on this podcast. I think she's very, very talented. And the fact that I thought Bessie Abbott ran a winning race that day, just a matter of running into Al Jafar, as you could see, with that massive trouble that she had. Again, you said wasn't directly in it, but I would argue is still affected by it. I mean, she's still 2 lengths ahead of the next horse. So still ran a winning race. Of course, got beat by Al Jafar that day. However, I think Bessie Abbott is very interesting in this race. Midway Memories, guys, is a very interesting horse in this race for me. This is one that Chad starts at Tampa, starts a lot of his turf horses out at Tampa. Manny Franco hops aboard at Aqueduct last time out. I thought she ran very, very well last time. Didn't get as high of a buyer as I would have liked. However, you can see Midway Memories is the gray flying in the outside. She was 3-5 that day, but you're going to see this number 3, this long shot Magnum's microburst actually bursts away, and Midway Memories is going to have to catch her, and she's going to have to run very hard to catch her. However, you can see once she starts going, hits her right-handed, starts flying down the stretch, and just visually to me, that looks like a very, very nice race to me. Now coming into this race here, if there is going to be a colder pace up front, she's shown the ability to run into colder paces before. Granted, it was a maiden special weight at Tampa. However, she can build off that 72 last time out. Midway Memories is definitely one I'm willing to take a shot with at a price of 6-1, just based off of again, we like to watch replays around here. We like to visually handicap as well as look at the numbers. Again, little light on figures, Noah, but just off that visual alone, I'm willing to take a chance on her.
No, and I like the pick. I like her a little bit in here. I guess the worry for me would be, she kind of benefited a little bit from that extra 16th last time, and she's got to cut back to a mile today. And it kind of, plays in case with the fact that there's not really a lot of speed in here. And even if the 5 does go, it doesn't really seem like anyone else is really going to go with her. So I don't really question the talent at all. I think she's right there with some of these others. I mean, if the 9 wasn't in the race, I think you could just, it's kind of a coin flip for who I would prefer in second. And, if this was maybe a mile 16th or mile 8th, I would really like her a lot, but I think she's maybe just up against it slightly just because she's got to cut back to 8 furlongs. No,
and that's completely fair. Noah, you have number 3 for Bregman Family Racing, Rusty Arnold and Axel's Concepcion. Also cross-entered, of course, one thing to look at, but she ran super well at Keeneland. Of course, track you and I pay very much attention to. And then there's 2 horses I want to talk about with you two after this, because a lot of us we're not really similar, but we're also very similar. And there's 2 big horses we don't have in there anywhere. So, Noah, tell us why you love you anyway, and then I'm going to have 2 horses to throw at you guys.
Yeah, I don't really love her. I mean, she would your 6 would be my second pick if she wasn't in the race, but she's just one that I think she's got a lot of raw ability. Her maiden race was pretty good, and then as a maiden, Rusty Arnold threw her in the Florida Oaks, and even that race wasn't that bad. I mean, Lush Lips would be 1 to 5 in here, and Nitrogen would be 1 to 20. So
1 to a million.
yeah. So then they throw her back into a much more reasonable spot. And, that was a pretty decent maiden race. That was towards the end of the Keeneland spring meet. And I thought she ran well. She was just like really super green. She was in the middle of the track, but it was still pretty professional. So I think she's just kind of learning, rounding into her own body and her form. And, she's one where some of these other horses have been in this spot, like kind of waiting to run. And I think she was a late entrant because I know Laurelin was supposed to run in this a couple weeks ago. I think there were some others that were entered to run when this was originally scheduled. And I think she was kind of a late entrant. So hoping that the works that she hasn't skipped and that she's been able to get in will benefit her if she does go to this spot.
No, absolutely. And I completely agree with you. Again, it's just a matter of can she build off that 74 last time? And there's others in here that I think might just have a little bit of an edge on her. However, she's going to be close to the lead or in theory, closer to the lead than my 6 and could just get a jump on a lot of other horses in this race. Pat, I'm going to throw one to you, and Noah, I'm going to throw one to you. Pat, number 7, Candy Quest, is one of those horses that was running at Gulfstream during the championship meet. It was actually very well backed almost every time. Ran on the Sanibel Island, and was running very well. Just lost a half length in the Sanibel Island to Spirited Boss, who hasn't come back exactly to run the best. However, not terribly by any means, but 5 to 1 on the morning line. Castellano hops aboard here. Mark Cassie. You'd imagine this horse is going to take money, but again, none of us have her anywhere, which I find very surprising.
Yeah, a couple things. I do question the distance. She seems like, obviously, Kyle, you hit on, she does like Gulfstream. And I just, wonder the trip that she's going to get probably from the back of the pack is, that race 3 back, she did close into what was a pretty decent pace in there. So I don't know. I just think that she's up against it in here going the mile distance, and especially at the price that she's going to be, not for me. I just think there's more talented fillies in here.
Completely agree. Just that's one thing I wanted to hit on. And Noah, none of us have the other Chad in here that Pratt actually hops aboard. Accent for Chad Brown. Flavian Pratt, as I mentioned, hops aboard in here. A main winner coming out of Tampa. No, I don't know if you watched this replay, but don't jinx it as a horse who actually came back to win at Delaware about 2 weeks ago. She got a perfect trip in here, and I'm sure that's what a lot of us keyed in on. But still, it's Flavian Pratt and Chad Brown, so this horse is going to take money.
Yeah, and I gave her a long look, and just watching this replay, she got an unbelievable trip. I mean, she was off the speed, and these two knuckleheads decided to duke it out and go 22-4, and then sub 47. And then I can't remember who. I think maybe it was Camacho who was on her that day. Yeah. Just kind of navigates towards the inside, and then just kind of follows the 6. The 6 gets the first jump. That was Don't Jinx It, who actually came back and won at Delaware that you were talking about 2 weeks ago. So she just kind of follows the 6 for a period of time, and then the 5 decides to drift out, and she just gets the run of the race for sure. The 6 has to go 4 wide, and she's already in front of her at this point, and then she just kind of goes from there. I will say she did gallop out pretty well, so I think there is some talent there, but I'm just kind of leaning maybe too much too soon at this point. But Pratt hops on, and anytime that happens, you got to pay attention.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And that's one thing I wanted to hit on was because she's going to take money just based off that alone. I mean, and tell you what, man, this is so off a little tangent, but Camacho's so good, man. Like that ride is just unbelievable just to be able to trust that hole is going to open up. But yeah, there's definitely obviously in Pratt, you would imagine, granted, even though Manny Franco rode the 6 last time, I mean, it's a Flavian Pratt. You'd imagine he has a choice in here, and he goes to the number 1 Accent. So we'll see what type of price you're going to get on the 1, but obviously a lot of us think it's going to be lower than 8 to 1. And for a lot of us, perfect trip means not for us, or we just have to see it again. But in race number 5, the Penn Oaks, I'm going 6-5-9. Pat's going 5-9-6. Noah's going 9-3-6. Again, thank you guys all so much for watching. We've had good viewership all the way throughout. Greatly appreciate it. If you guys have just joined in and you guys are enjoying the show, please go down below the video player here on YouTube if you're watching, like button and hit the subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, the power picks for both Saratoga and Del Mar are now available. That is the tip sheet that we present to you guys here on the HHH Racing Podcast. You can see it here if you go to hhhracingpodcast.com. Power Picks tip sheets. You can go Saratoga or Del Mar. They're both widely available, and it's all done through the website and through PayPal or Venmo. You can see the two deadlines on the bottom of the screen right now. The deadline for Saratoga is before the second weekend, which is July 17th at 11:59 p.m., or Del Mar, July 24th at 11:59 p.m. Again, there's all the FAQs you could want on here between prices, what is actually included in the subscription, how do you pay for it, and everything like that. And even have examples of ones we did last year on there for both Saratoga and Del Mar, guys. Again, they're not that expensive. They pay for themselves. As unbiased as I can say it, you get a lot of information for the money that you spend, and you can even get a deal if you buy both of them. So please go hhhracingpodcast.com to order your Saratoga and Del Mar Power Picks today. And again, that's done. You get every single weekend race day for those on both Saratoga and Del Mar. And Matt brings up a good point. You know, he said they're smart man. That's why we have him on the show. Is no offense, Kyle, but at the start of the year, everyone should have signed up for Team HHH, so you don't need to mess around with what I'm talking about. The one-stop shop option was always available. Guys, the last race we're going to talk about here is the feature on the day. It's the Grade 3 Penn Mile. 400,000 going a mile on the turf for 3-year-olds with the return of, it seems like everyone's favorite horse nowadays, Zulu Kingdom, Flavian Pratt, Chad Brown at 7-5. Second choice, number 4, Mibago, Irad Ortiz, Mark Cassie at 7-2. And third choice, the number 8, Dream On, Javier Castellano, Mark Cassie at 9-2. Guys, bringing up our picks on the screen right now. You guys know I had to do it. I've been waiting for this horse forever. I'm going with the number 1, States Rights in this race. Virginia bred. You guys are both going with Zulu Kingdom. Completely understand why you guys are. Noah, I'll go to you first. Pat, feel free to add anything you want to add on Zulu Kingdom. However, not too much to say at this point about him. He's just pretty good.
I mean, he's fine.
I'll get to that, but
to be quite honest, Pat, hopefully you have more clever things to say, because I hate this pick. I mean, he's a terrible bet either way, because he either gets bet down to 2-5 or 3-5 and he's unbettable, or he's 8-5 and then the red lights are flashing and that's a terrible sign. So yes, he's obviously the horse to beat, and he's gotten pretty good trips in his last 2 in the Columbia and then in the American turf. I mean, if gun to my head, he's the best horse in the race, no doubt. But I'm not afraid to say it. I'm completely avoiding this race. Pat, you got anything more clever?
Yeah, no, I don't. But what I'll say is that, listen, I mean, you don't win these Grade 1 races by accident. This horse, Pratt in that American turf had this horse forwardly placed in a race that was moving, and I get the ground was good if closer to the soft side, but that horse wasn't going away. I mean, that was an impressive win, and I don't know. It's going to be obviously a low price in here, but I'm not trying to beat him, as Noah said. Kyle, I do get it, and I'm going to let you go on a little tangent here about the 1. But I think this kind of, I don't know, obviously, we had to deal with the delay of this race. So I feel like I would love to know what Chad was thinking, because obviously this kind of just fell right into Zulu Kingdom's lap. No, like, I feel like Zulu Kingdom is ready for Saratoga, and then this race was there. And, why not, try and pull off a $400,000, Grade 3 before the summer?
I mean, it makes a ton of sense. However, this is one of those things that, Sam Falcon, if that's correct, I'm gonna actually be so upset,
Sam,
man.
Can you have done that at the beginning of the show? So
I mean, yeah. Oh my God, I was literally about to go on a 5-minute tangent about
that's interesting.
Oh man,
but
hold on.
At the same time, isn't it a little interesting that? Well, I don't know what the NYRA schedule looks like. Couldn't Chad just keep Zulu Kingdom at Saratoga and maybe wait for a spot there. Pat, you would maybe have a better idea about that than me. Like, I don't know what they have with July 4th now, because that's a new thing, right? Like, typically they don't run that weekend.
Yeah, no, they don't. And I don't know if they have a stake for Zulu over July 4th, but I would have figured there would have been something for him. The Kelso might be for older horses. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, I don't know. That's a good question. I could be overlooking it, but I just thought, this kind of just fell right in the Zulu Kingdom's lap as an obvious race to point to when it kept getting delayed.
Yeah. Maybe someone in the chat can help us out, because I'm not super familiar with the NYRA schedule.
Yeah, and obviously like that. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Sam, they're putting that in the chat. If that's correct, I'm actually going to be very upset, as I mentioned before. However, I'm going to try and find that, guys. I'll let you guys talk. Pat, I'll let you talk about Mibago. You have him in second, while Noah and I both have him in third. However, this is one that's been on the lead every single start and will obviously be on the lead in this race.
Oh,
just a matter of
confirm.
Yeah, if you go, it's the Penn Mile, an opportune time for Dream On to deliver is the headline of the article, and at the bottom of it, States Rights and Barbadian Run will both scratch on Friday. Trainer Sherry DeVoe has decided to keep States Rights in Saratoga.
Okay, well, I gotta change it then. I'm definitely not picking Zulu Kingdom though, so feel free to talk about Mibago first.
Yeah, no, with Mibago. Listen, the Pennine Ridge obviously got taken off. That was over at Belmont Stakes weekend, so that rain was pretty bad. So I don't look at that race. This horse is going to be forwardly placed and has some decent numbers on the turf in here. And I think Howard pointed out in the chat, this firm turf seems to hold pretty well. I remember, Kyle, we covered this, and I think Noah, you were on the show for that one when we covered this sequence last year. And oh my God, it was speed favoring out the wazoo. I forget, Frankie was on a horse that threw me in a locker on the front end. And I could see the same situation here with Mibago in this race. And who knows, takes them all the way in this race at a decent price. I think this horse stands a big chance, and you'll see that in my best bets.
Was it First World War? Because I was ready to break something that day.
It was First World War.
It was, yes.
That horse has burned me so many. Or actually, no, Colin's right. It was Poolside with Slim.
I think it was both. Wasn't it both of them? Or no, all right. But either way, I agree with you.
Both of them definitely won. Frankie might have been on both of them. Now that I think about it, he probably is.
Poolside with Slim, though, I think is correct in that regard.
Yeah, because he was like 6-1 on the morning line, and then got bet down to like 9-5 or 8-5.
Well, yeah, of course, because I had him on top, Noah. That's the way it works around here.
Everyone watches Bettin N Boozin.
That's right. Penn Oaks was a Poolside. That's what I thought. Poolside with Slim won the Oaks on the lead like that. So, yeah, Colin, my man, that is why you are in the chat, because you are smart as can be. But yeah, Mibago, I agree with you guys. Now, the fact that I have to wait for another day for States Rights to run, because he scratched out of some other spot to stay in Saratoga last time out. If Speed's going to play well, and that'll obviously be tried and true, we can see throughout the previous 4 races on the turf. However, because Colin Quinn goes, because I bet him while golfing, teed off, and went to look, and the price was in half. Me and you both, my man. But Mibago's run some very, very good races, including the American Turf. Just got beaten by a length and a quarter. I would feel much more inclined to bet Mibago, again, as Howard mentioned, if the turf was firm. He also really loves firm turf as opposed to the turf with a little bit of give in the ground, as would be suggested by the PPs. So if it's firm, definitely Mibago would be a horse I'd be looking to play. However, just matters of what the price is going to be. However, with States Rights out, I mean, Zulu Kingdom could easily be 4-5 in this race, and I'm sure he probably will be come post time. But if it's firm, Mibago is definitely the one I'd be interested in this race. Dream On is another horse that's ran very well, just really hasn't run back to that summer that he ran up at Woodbine at the end of last year. Now gets a little bit of time off and into this race. Now runs 2 months off of the last race at Aqueduct Castellano in the irons there, and out on bails. The only other horse I'm actually decently interested. Like I said, I haven't had to relook at this race because probably the whole day was going to be around 8-1 on states rights, but out on bail ran very well last time at 5.5. Now, of course, stretching out to that mile distance. Street cry, you'd imagine, 'tis the law. You'd imagine there is enough distance breeding on there, and obviously Mike Maker feels the to take a chance second off the layoff, and that's obviously an angle I would very much key in on at 6-1 on the morning line. And I mean, like I said, I'm gonna have to really mess with some stuff here, because he's funny enough, you could be willing to guess that States Rights, of course, was one of my best bets as well. So I'll fish for a new one. But what's up, Pat?
It should be encouraging, though. She's pointing to Saratoga, I would think, for your sake.
Well, yeah, the horse is a ton of talent, Pat. Of course, man. I mean, I was gonna, like I said, if I've showed that we've covered the last race States Rights was in before he got scratched. I mean, I love Jose Ortiz. That was one of the most horrific rides I've seen from him in a long time. Trying to knife through 80 horses and get up at the line and just missed. But again, either way, that doesn't matter now. So I don't even know why I'm talking about it. We all had States Rights in there somewhere, but the rest of us are all Zulu Kingdom or Mibago in this race. I would definitely include the number 5, though, out on bail as one of my underneath picks in this race. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go 4-7-5 in this race. Patrick's going 7-4, and Noah's going 7-4 as well. Both with Zulu Kingdom on top, although Noah is not very happy with that pick on top. No, Pat, going to you first. Obviously, these best bets don't change for you, as you're going with race number 5, a win on the number 5, Bessie Abbott, which, of course, can turn into a double with Zulu Kingdom, who's your second best bet, and exacta Zulu Kingdom over Mibago.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to look for a price in the Penn Oaks. I think she's going to improve again. Third time out for Mark Cassie. I really liked that debut for her at Keeneland, and I think she can take another step forward in there with 2 second place finishes since she's been in his barn. And then in race 6, I'm not getting too cute anymore. I thought maybe getting Mibago in second was a little cute. Now, not so much. I think that's a pretty straightforward exact. I don't know. What do you think the price is on that exact now? 3-1?
Yeah, probably some 3-1, 4-1, something like that. But
yeah, if that. So those are my best bets.
Hey,
I was kind of happy we pivoted to this sequence. I thought, Friday night this would be kind of fun to cover, especially if the weather holds up. Considering Woodbine was doing us a lot of favors.
Well, as it always does, Pat. But either way, look, people would kill for a 7-2 winner, Pat. If you get a 7-2 exacta, there's nothing wrong with that, no matter how straightforward it can be. Pat, good luck with your best bets. Noah, you've kind of already hinted at one of yours, but in race number 3, a win on the number 8, Lady Out of the Blue, and starting in race 4, a double 4-9 with 9. I believe that's singling Laura Lynn on the back end.
Yeah, Lady Out of the Blue, that's race 3. She's 8-1 on the line, but as Colin kind of alluded to, if she's like 5-2, I probably shouldn't be all that surprised, just because she's never been out of the money at Penn National. She's got races in her resume that would that are good enough to beat that field. So hopefully I get some kind of price on her. And then going into Laurel, and I think Laurel's pretty likely, as I was kind of mentioning earlier. But I think the race of 4, I mean, we're kind of all in agreement. It's pretty much a 2-horse race between the 4 and the 9. So trying to just get some kind of an inflated win price on the 9 Laurelin in race 5.
Yep. And look, I completely race. Yeah, I messed up the race on mine either way, but that's throwing me for a loop. Either way, Noah, good luck with your best bets. Obviously, try and make the most out of the horse you feel strongest about in the sequence, which is obviously Laura Lynn. So good luck with your best bets. I changed mine on the fly. This could obviously change. So again, please follow us on X. I'm at AP Roscoe K. You can see Noah on his name tag as well. And Patrick is just at Patrick Kunsel, as you can see in his name tag as well. Always follow him. Don't follow that other guy that's not here.
Yeah, definitely don't follow. He would have been talking up a storm about Mibago, so thank God.
That's actually true, being the Gulfstream savant that he is. So absolutely. Yeah. But either way, my picks could change. So I post every single time I play a sequence. I will post my picks for it on Twitter. So again, follow me for final picks. But on the quick end, I still feel very strong about a horse that Noah and I both had on top in race number 3. That's Fierce and Strong. And then the Penn Mile, guys, if it is on firm turf, I actually like Mibago a lot, because as Howard already pointed out in the chat, The turf has played pretty speed favoring in the past, and if Mibago can get back to that firm turf, I think he's got a very, very good chance. So race number 6, tentatively win on the number 4, Mibago, and again, race number 3, a win on the number 4, Fierce and Strong. Noah, thanks so much, man, for subbing in. Greatly appreciate it. Always, as you subbed in last week as well. So again, double duty for you, but again, it is always very appreciated. But if not, of course, not as much as appreciated as you guys watching. Thank you guys all so much for watching. It's been a very fun show. And again, our normal plan was Woodbine this week. However, they don't get their PPs out early, and we love to have the conversation between the chat. And if you are watching this as a replay, please go down below the video player and comment who your most likely winner is on the entire day, or your best bet, whichever one you want to put down there. And of course, we respond to every single one. But for my co-hosts, Patrick Kunsel and Noah Maher, has been your host, Kyle Roscoe, in episode 136 of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast, covering Penn Mile Night at Penn National for June 27th, 2025. And until next time, everybody, crush those bets, win those photos, and stay safe, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.